5 consecutive Ranger spacecraft failed, so Harris Schermer took charge. After Ranger 6 lost its camera system, Rangers 7, 8, and 9 returned thousands of lunar images. The early flights tested launch vehicles, spacecraft systems, and lunar imaging in stages. Their failures did not share one proven cause. Some missed the moon while others lost spacecraft functions. The program was criticized as shoot and hope, reflecting the repeated breakdowns. Ranger 6 reached the moon on a flawless flight, but an in-flight accident disabled its television instrument. It arrived, yet transmitted no pictures. The next 3 spacecraft used a redesigned television system. Ranger 7's 6 cameras sent more than 4,300 images, Ranger 8 followed with more than 7,000, and Ranger 9 with 5,800. Those close-up images showed impact craters across lunar plains that had looked smooth from Earth. Scientists could now examine crater-on-crater terrain directly, down to details about 50 centimeters across. At Hoover Dam, Mabel McFerrin Rockwell was the only woman designing and overseeing the electrical systems that generated and moved its power. She joined the Metropolitan Water District of Southern California in 1932. Her work covered electrical problems for the Colorado River Aqueduct. It also covered construction and transmission power systems. Earlier in her career, she specialized in high-voltage transmission, system stability, and electrical system performance. For Hoover Dam, she developed the economic design for transmitting power. The design covered the route from generating equipment to points of actual use. Her engineering work then shifted to aircraft manufacturing research. At Lockheed, she led production research that improved spot welding and studied how sheet metal airplane parts could be formed. Later in her career, she designed the electrical control system for the Polaris missile launcher. By 1948, she was one of the first 3 female fellows of the AIEE. Singapore tested trains overseas, yet tests could not fully reproduce local conditions. Its answer was a 54-hectare test center with 16.9 kilometers of track. Before the center, much train testing happened overseas. New trains still needed extensive testing on Singapore's operational MRT lines. The center provides dedicated tracks, so engineers can test trains and rail systems without closing operational lines. It supports different signaling systems which control train movements, plus 2 power types, 750-volt direct current third rail and 25 kilovolt alternating current overhead power. A 3-kilometer endurance loop builds accumulated mileage to test performance and reliability. A separate 2.8-kilometer straight track allows speed tests up to 100 kilometers per hour. The 54-hectare site also gives engineers controlled workshops and maintenance space while building local expertise. Testing can happen away from passenger service, with trains checked repeatedly before entering the network. Operational MRT lines therefore remain available during dedicated testing. Golden Lap shows Formula One races as colored dots on a thick line, while you balance tuning, fuel, stress, and crashes. Released in 2024, it puts you in charge of a 1970s team. Career mode covers personnel, car construction, driver training, and race performance. A quick race mode offers one event with a preset team. Qualifying sends drivers out individually for lap times and starting positions. Each driver earns tuning tokens, then spends them across 3 performance categories. Each category has a golden tune, its optimum setting. Going beyond it triggers a penalty and significantly worsens performance. Once the grid forms, the race becomes a control problem. More speed can consume fuel faster, while rising stress increases crash risk. The player must manage all 3 rather than simply demand maximum pace. That abstraction keeps the track readable, but decisions still have physical consequences. A crash may injure a driver, causing a missed race, or may kill them. The Washington, D.C. temple was moved 60 feet before construction began, not the building, its planned location, to align exactly with the unfinished Capitol Beltway. The site was a 57-acre wooded tract in Kensington, Maryland, purchased in 1962. It was selected for visibility, making the future temple a landmark beside heavy traffic. Before groundbreaking, planners adjusted the location while the highway was still unfinished. The purpose was precise: align the building with the roadway and inspire curiosity about the faith. Completed in 1974, the structure rose 288 feet high with 6 spires and a gilded statue of the angel Moroni. Its position made it easy to recognize from the Beltway, including in traffic reports. Reported construction cost was $15 million. The 7-week open house drew more than 750,000 visitors, turning a highway landmark into a public introduction to the temple. The alignment helped draw attention during that unusually large public open house. Ross Scott compared publishers shutting down online-only games to Silentera Studios burning films for silver. A purchased game can become unplayable when its servers disappear. The issue centers on games designed as services where even single-player access depends on a publisher-operated internet connection. Stop Killing Games began in 2024 after Ubisoft shut down The Crew, an online-only racing game. The Crew required constant internet access for both modes, including single-player play. Ubisoft announced closure for March 31, 2024, citing server infrastructure and licensing constraints. Ubisoft delisted The Crew, ended its servers on that date, and later revoked licenses from players who had bought it. The movement does not demand indefinite updates. It argues for a reasonably functional game through an offline mode or private server support after discontinuation for buyers. That case reached petitions and government initiatives, including a European campaign with around 1.3 million valid signatures. Inside Christ Church in Amherstburg, Ontario, the ceiling's timbers form an upside-down ship's hull in Norse fashion. The form hangs above a familiar Anglican interior. Built between 1818 and 1819 after the War of 1812, the one-story Anglican church served Fort Malden's garrison and nearby civilians. In Amherstburg, its exterior uses red brick and Georgian windows. An open-frame ceiling leaves its supporting members visible from below rather than hiding them behind a finished surface. Here, oak pins and iron bands connect the exposed timbers into one visible system. The joined timbers create the inverted hull profile overhead, spanning the nave as a visible structural system rather than a flat, concealed ceiling. That construction remains in a church built in 1818–1819. Christ Church is the oldest extant Anglican church in Essex County and received Ontario Heritage Trust designation in 1983. Old bridge abutments from the South Coast Rail project found a second job underwater. They were reused as artificial reefs. An abutment supports one end of a bridge span. It also holds back the earth, forming the approach, acting as a retaining wall. That makes it both a bridge support and a barrier for approach fill. Its original structural job is to transfer vertical loads and lateral pressure into the foundation. Vertical loads push downward, lateral pressure pushes sideways. That structural strength remained useful after the rail project no longer needed the bridge. Underwater, the old structures provided physical complexity for a reef environment. Their original shape did not need to change to serve this second use. A component designed to hold a bridge end and resist earth movement was retained with a new purpose. It remained structurally what it was but no longer served only the rail line.